There's going to be an overhaul of NHS pension rules, which have been linked to a rise in waiting times for patients. At the moment, many senior doctors turn down overtime, including surgery, saying the pay from extra shifts can land them with a hefty tax bill. Well, the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, says unfairness in the system is being rectified.
So we're taking action today to change the NHS pension system so that doctors don't have to face a huge tax bill when they do overtime. It's become a significant problem. It's unfair that if you do overtime you should get a big tax bill for it that often has wiped out the increased pay. So we're changing those rules, which means there'll be more flexibility for doctors. It's good for the NHS and it's good for patients.
Joining me now is consultant radiologist Dr. Tony Goldstone, who's also clinical director at Hull University Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust. What impact is this loophole, if you like, in the tax laws having on where you work?
It's had an enormous impact, not only in my own department, which I manage, but the wider NHS. These tax changes and pension changes came on the back of massive workforce shortages. We're about 10,000 consultants short across the UK. So the consequence of people not being able to afford to do overtime is that waiting lists for surgery, for reading of cancer scans, etc., have all gone up to unprecedented levels. And accident and emergency performance is also the worst performance it's been in June since records began. So it really came at exactly the wrong time. It's been the perfect storm of tax changes that weren't terribly well thought out and a massive underlying workforce shortage within our NHS.
Is it possible to quantify the cost to the NHS of these delays and lengthened waiting times?
Well, I mean, part of the problem with these tax changes is that it's been a false economy. So I think the government introduced these tax changes to try and claw back some revenue on pensions taxation. But the problem is that the cost of reproviding that service are often far higher than just paying your staff reasonable rates to do it in normal time or in overtime. So we're seeing consultants and GPs cutting back the work that they're doing because in some cases they're literally paying to go to work because of these taxes. So doing an additional shift on top of already long and onerous hours could leave them with a tax bill that could be several thousands of pounds higher than the money that they would earn from that overtime.
How quickly do you need the government to actually take action on this? Because we've heard today that there is going to be a consultation over a number of months.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. The BMA have been lobbying very hard on this for about a year's time now. And unfortunately, all of these adverse effects on patient cares and waiting times were anticipated by the BMA and our modelling. These changes have already happened, in my opinion. We certainly can't be looking into the next tax year to bring them in. We're already in a dreadful position in terms of waiting lists in the summer. And traditionally, of course, the NHS has severe pressure during the winter. I don't think the NHS can wait till after the winter to fix this problem. So whilst the renewed consultation is very welcome, that the government has listened to the BMA advice and taken off the previous offer on the table that was bound to fail. I'm still concerned that we need to put in some mitigation now, otherwise it's going to be too late for our NHS.
I mean, do you think it's possible that some specialists and consultants might start redoing these shifts if there is a promise that the tax issue is going to be sorted out and that it can be sorted out retrospectively?
Jane, I think that's a difficult one. The devil is in the detail, and some of the detail in the announcement so far is lacking. A key component of this to make it work will be that if people give up pension rights, they can access the employer contribution towards the pension. So that doesn't cost the NHS any more money. It just means that they would be paying that as pay rather than as pension. But the government's announcements have said that component will be optional. And if that's not optional, not only will that create a postcode lottery if some trusts do it and other trusts don't, without it, I'm afraid that this consultation and proposal will fall flat on its face. I think the other thing to say is that this is really an emergency mitigation to try and, get us through the winter, frankly. The long-term solution to this is to change the tax. If the tax, the perverse tapered annual allowance in particular, particular that's caused this, and we should be looking at addressing the root cause to make that go away.
Okay, Dr. Tony Goldstone, good to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.